Federal prosecutors have secured convictions of 7 Fakir men and 30 other gang members for crimes that included racketeering, robbery, cocaine distribution, trafficking, and firearms offenses. A U.S. District Court jury on Friday found William Sykes, aka Black 29 of Boltonton, guilty. The jury in Alexandria also convicted Thaddeus Storm Snow, 34 of Manassas. The defendants face potential life prison terms at sentencing May 9. Mr. Snow faces a mandatory minimum of 40 years in prison, and Mr. Sykes faces a minimum of 20 years. Mr. Aleem is subject to a mandatory term of 10 years. At the same time, Jamil Nino B. Aleem, 33, of Washington, D.C., was convicted of conspiracy to distribute cocaine base. These defendants and their fellow gang members threaten the safety of our communities by committing acts of violence, dealing drugs, and dehumanizing women through force and coercion, said Dana J. Bionte, acting United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. The 37 convictions that have been obtained against members of the 9 trade gangsters over the past year reflect the outstanding cooperation of federal, state, and local law enforcement to combat these pernicious crimes. FBI Assistant Director in Charge Valerie Parlalov said, "The multiple convictions returned by the jury today send a clear message to members of these violent criminal enterprises. We will not tolerate your illegal activities. The FBI, through the Northern Virginia Gang Task Force, and our partners in local law enforcement, will continue to track down and arrest these brutal gang members who resort to using violent acts in an attempt to threaten our communities." Mr. Snow, Mr. Sykes, and Mr. Aleem were indicted by a federal grand jury on September 26, 2013, along with 21 other members and associates of the 9 trade gangster street gang, on charges of conspiracy to commit racketeering, violence in aid of racketeering, conspiracy to commit trafficking, conspiracy to commit robbery, conspiracy to distribute 280 grams or more of crack cocaine, and multiple counts related to the possession and use of firearms. According to court records and evidence presented at trial, the 9 trade gangsters are a blood street gang set of the United Blood Nation that was founded in New York City in the early 1970s. Thaddeus Snow led a lineup of the 9 trade gangsters, which operated as a criminal enterprise in Virginia and committed criminal activity in multiple states. From 2008 until the date of the indictment, Mr. Snow's lineups of 9 trade gangsters engaged in racketeering activity involving the sex trafficking of women using force and coercion in Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, New York, and elsewhere. The commission of robberies and the distribution of cocaine, crack, marijuana, heroin, ecstasy, and prescription painkillers. The evidence at trial also showed that Mr. Snow, Mr. Sykes, and the other 9 trade gangsters dealt in counterfeit United States currency and used counterfeit currency to finance wholesale drug purchases. Evidence at trial showed that Mr. Snow and his subordinate gang members undertook several acts of violence. On or about April 1st, 2010, Mr. Snow directed 9 trade gangsters to give a female victim a $1.50, consisting of slashing the woman's face with a knife from mouth to ear, with the aim of requiring 150 stitches to close the wound. Because the woman had stolen proceeds of Mr. Snow's drug sales and used some of Snow's drug supply, the slashing was carried out by Mr. Sykes. Mr. Sykes and other gang members beat a man unconscious who may have stolen drugs from a gang member, and Mr. Sykes also committed a shooting on April 12, 2010. After the shooting, victims became involved in a dispute with one of the gang members. Additionally, Mr. Sykes slapped and choked a prostitute when she concealed money she earned from him. Mr. Snow, Mr. Sykes, and Mr. Aleem were convicted following a trial that began on February 11th. With the conviction of these 3 defendants, all 24 individuals named in the September 26, 2013 indictment have been convicted. These individuals named in the indictment previously pleaded guilty, admitted their involvement with the 9 trade gangsters, and have been sentenced in federal court. So for those of you that think that you're all right, they will bring a case against you. When you're running with your gang, whether it be the Bloods, the Crips, the Sureños, the Norteños, whoever it may be, the federal government will take you and throw you away. It's your decision. Let's get to the video. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV. You already know we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We promise not to disappoint you. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. I got a brother on, man, that I did some time with in Big Sandy and some other places. He's from D.C. Blood. He was part of the Blood whatever. I'm going to let him tell his story, though. Nino, tell the people who you are, man, and where you're from, man. And we'll talk about the cop and how you punished that cop in Big Sandy. All of that today.
What's up, world? How y'all, man? You know, it's Nino B, man. I one of the good guys from the city, man, from DC, but one of the few and only DC guys that was on blood count. You know, I'm not Trey, and that's just what it is. I never wavered. I never wavered from that. All the homies, they know. It's not a pen I haven't been in that I didn't walk the yard. I ain't never been touched up, fucked up, ran up nowhere. So, you know, it is what it is.
So, Nino, let me ask you this, right? How old were you when you caught your case?
I was 26.
How much time were you sentenced to?
Well, initially, I had 328 months because out of all my co-defendants, only 3 of us went to trial. And the 3 of us that went to trial, we all lost. And the judge, she sentenced me because I was on a conspiracy at 848, you know, the RICO law, because of my political ties. And I was initially sentenced to 328 months. But, you know, by through the will of Allah, man, you know, he seen what them peoples was doing with me, man, and got that up off me, man. And I got all my paperwork. You can Google my case. You know what I mean? It's public record. So you guys out there don't get to playing with my name.
Was that a 9-Trey gangster case, or was it just a DC case? What was it?
Nah, it was a 9-Trey. Like I say, I'm blood. You know, I didn't get locked up for what was going on in this city. I specifically was locked up for being blood, for being 9-Trey gangster. You can Google it. It was called Operation Ruby Red. You know, we got indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia, and that's what it was.
So what's the first prison that you end up going to?
Well, the first prison I went to was Coleman, and that was 2005, I believe. From 5 to 7, I was in Coleman.
What was it like walking in there, man, a young man with all that time, man?
I mean, to be honest with you, Coleman was a pen that was not like a pen, bro. Like, honestly, because after 4 o'clock count in Coleman, right, I believe 60% of the staff was females. Coleman 1 was a different place back then. And I mean, it was a different place. But coming into the federal system, learning about how, you know, the money move and things like that. And this was before they had emails and, you know, what you call it, core links and all. This was before all of that, before the music players, and this was before all of those things. So, you know, it was different.
When you say different, were people getting busy? Was it violent back then over there?
Nah, like it is like Coleman 1, like really, if it was violence, it was isolated, like real isolated. You might have a dude where, you know, you might get him touched up, but mostly, and I don't want to be derogatory, but mostly in Coleman, ain't nobody getting to it but the Migos. You know what I mean? Dudes down there getting money. They was getting money in Coleman.
When you say getting money, dudes were in there hustling, making money, putting things together, sending money to the street, living a good life, right? From prison, if there is such a thing.
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's the first prison, BOP, that's the first federal prison I ever seen a CO like get fucked. Period.
So were,
Like,
were, were dudes getting at the CO chicks down there?
man, no secret. No secret. No secret.
How does that happen, man? I mean, these are cops, and what dudes are just rapping to them. I mean, what do they do? Tell the people what. I mean, I know what they do, but the people don't know.
I mean, I'm not sure because most of the females that, and I wasn't one of the ones. I mean, I had a female that I would, converse with and do things as far as bring me food or things like that. But I ain't never had sex with her or anything, or was able to get her to bring me anything like that. I was young, so I'm not sure. But most of the females that the guys that I knew that was dealing with females, those females chose them. They didn't. It wasn't nothing. I don't think it was nothing they did. I think the females just chose them. You know.
So let me ask you this: were there women down there selling sex, or was it just a mutual understanding?
I mean, I can't say whether they were selling it or if it was mutual, but the isolated incident that I was privy to, I mean, this was his lady or whatever. Like he ended up, this is baby mama now. Like, believe it or not.
We ended up having a baby with this girl.
Yeah, he definitely two of them.
Is it a DC dude, or where was dude from?
Yeah. He from DC. He's from DC.
You feel like the women down there, man, were attracted to the street dudes and all of that, or were they street chicks working there?
I mean, yeah, I won't consider them street females because a lot of females they intrigued with guys that you know how they say, girl, he crazy. When you got a little bit of crazy and females they want to find out, like exactly what's going on with them. So and like I say, after 4 o'clock count, 60% of the compound was females.
Were a lot of them females that work there from New York? I know up that way, man, a lot of people leave New York City and go down there and get jobs down there in Coleman after they, leave MCC Brooklyn or MDC, whatever.
Nah, I can't really say. I don't remember none of the females actually down there that I, interacted with that was from New York. I remember a few of them that was from South Carolina. It was a few of them that was from a place called Grayson or something like that. Uh, I'm not sure, but most of them was probably from that, Orlando in the area. You know what I mean? Central area, I guess.
So maybe they were attracted to the northern dudes, right? Dudes up north, man, because they're from the south. I don't know. I've seen stuff like that down at USP Pollock too, man.
Yeah, I mean, nah, I can't really say that because like the dudes up top, New York dudes and DC dudes, and guys from Connecticut and places like that, they wasn't the only ones that had it popping. A lot of believe it or not, man, a lot of the Florida dudes is how I started learning how to run their game. Florida dudes and them North Carolina dudes, South Carolina, them Carolina dudes, you know, a lot of them think that they slow. They ain't slow at all. Them country niggas got a lot of game with them.
Hey, man. So, did the homies embrace you when you get there? And the DC dudes, you go in there and be like, look, man, I'm on blood time, man. I'm a blood. Or, I mean, how's that go for the DC dudes?
I mean, well, you got a lot of them that's have been in for, periods of time and they don't understand it. But a lot of guys that know that when they say know my body or they know my heart, I'm not about to explain nothing to you. I can't say you my homie when we up to jail and y'all the same ones that be trying to jump me and take my shoes or Tombo, I can't use this phone and all of this. So you can't expect me to get somewhere and knowing what I'm locked up for and be Tombo, nah, we homies or whatever. Now, I done had guys that I know from the world and they on the compound, but it's not a secret. It's not nothing that is hidden. I'm marked up all over my body. Damu everywhere, non-tray everywhere. So it's not like it's something I can hide. It's not like it's something, you know what I mean? And I mean, this is just a regular day, but I mean, I stay flamed up even out here. I mean, it's not a secret. I mean, this is what I do. I mean,
let me ask you this question, right? This kid's
yes,
6'9", like they're suing him now. He said he was broke. Was he 9 Trey gangster?
man, I really don't want to, speak on who that, right? Who that. That's all I can say. Who that?
I wanted to ask you a specific question about him, though. You know what I mean? Regardless of who he is, what he did, what I really wanted to ask you was, you think this cat is broke? He's telling the people he's broke. They're trying to sue him. I mean, this man was getting 3 million views. The man can't be broke, man.
I mean, well, it's a game called Smoke and Mirrors, right? And it's a lot of time with guys that had their fronts up, where the image that's being projected, for people to believe something is what gives these corporations, money and power. He just was a puppet. So it's very well true that he might be broke.
I'm going to say this. I think the kid's got money, right? I think, like you said, smoke and mirrors. I think the kid's just trying not to pay the people, man. And, when you're famous and you do shit, man, you're all over the news now for doing what he did. People are out there trying to sue this cat, suing him because they used it. Some Chinese dude wants to sue him because he used his name. And people will never accept this dude. People that are part of the anti-snitching movement and everything. Dude's done. But people are still paying attention to this dude, man. And I know you've seen this shit before where dudes do shit like that and other people are still paying attention to him, man. How do you feel about that?
Nah, that's what we call the popular rats. They got a lot of those popular rats out here. I get it. He one of the popular rats. I understand it. But when those guys that affiliated with those types of things, and that he a rat, and if you still want to deal with him, you a rat too. That's how I look at it. Because when they come to knock his block off, they should knock your block off too for being with him. You understand? That's how that take with me. So
I wonder if anyone's gonna ever knock his block off. You know what I mean? Might be like Elpo or something.
Nah, they definitely not gonna knock his block off unless you definitely trying to go to back to federal prison for obstruction of justice. Yeah, because that's just what's gonna happen.
So even if they beat this cat up, man, they're probably going to prison, man, in the feds.
Man, if you tell one thing about them rats, right? One thing about them rats, when they get in the bed with them people, one thing about that, you do anything to them and he a rat, trust me, they got a spot for you and they gonna keep the light on too.
I hear you. Let me ask you this. So you end up leaving Coleman, man, you get transferred. Is that when you go to Big Sandy?
No, when I went to Big Sandy is when actually, I apologize. When I went to Big Sandy is actually what got me indicted, for the case or whatever, and left there and went to court for the case actually. You know what I mean? So I went to Big Sandy in, I believe it was March of 2008. May 2008, I believe.
So you're in Big Sandy. Me and you were in Big Sandy at the same time, man. I come there. I'm in, what unit was I in back then? I think I was in A4, man. Then I ended up getting moved down to A1. But you were involved in something in Big Sandy, man, where the cop gets punished, right?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, it was like I said, I never forget it because it was actually my brother's birthday. It was November 29th, 2009. And the Redskins was about to play the Eagles. The game was coming on. But I was in a cell, getting a tattoo. So you know how the cops come in and they just doing their random little searches or whatever. But one of my homies, one of my good guys that's, one of my comrades that's holding me down, they get the whoa, up in here, letting them know that the police moving around. And what I didn't know was, how the sales was in Big Sandy, top and bottom tier. Like you might have These 5 sales are Midwest sales. Then the next 4 Latin King sales. Then the next 6 are, New York sales. You know how it is. Then these 7 are DC sales. You know how the sales work in there. So what I didn't know was at the end, at the end of the set, at the end of the at the end of the walkway, the last sale on the range, the police was in there getting whooped, and I didn't know it. So I'm trying to stop the police from patting my homie down because he got a float on him. I got a non-ring on me, so I'm not worried about him, because he just passing the wine.
Let me stop you real quick because people don't know what a floater is and a non-ringer is, right? They're prison knives. A non-ringer is a knife that you can go through a metal detector with, right? And a floater, tell the people what a floater is.
Man, a floater is basically, man, like a pick or something that's just passed around when, you doing security and, if we always in a pack of 3, something like that. The floaters are throwaways, basically. They good enough to hold on to, but it's just a floater. Everybody might touch this, But you got some floaters, they not that flash shit, but they still, man, get the job done.
The cop's trying to pat your homie down, and what happens?
Well, I stand in front of him so he wouldn't bother him. And I'm like, man, just go ahead and let him whine me. So I don't know, but the way I'm standing in front of him with my hands up, behind me, the cop fall out the door. I don't know this. You know how somebody facial expression change? His facial expression changed and he jumped back. And when he jumped back, I turned around, but out of my peripheral, he's swinging a handheld wand at me. Man, I'm just, geek and lover came out. I was scared as shit. I say, man, he ain't about to crack my head over with this. And I just blanked out and trashed him. And it just turned into a big melee. Everybody got to get into it.
Was this the DC dudes jumping on this dude, or is this Bloods jumping on the cop?
Nah, this was DC dudes.
The cop, was it Adams?
It was Adams. I forget. It was about 4 of them. But what's the big fat dude that used to work in our unit? The white
Bussy.
guy.
You're talking about Big Bussy, maybe.
Yeah. Well, he's standing on the top tier, right? He leaning over the rail, and you know how when you up under where the phone's at, when you up under the tier, you can't see what's going on. So he don't know what's going on. Man, we didn't dog them. I'm talking about we dogging them peoples. Dogging them. So, but I ain't gonna lie, I'm scared. Man, he hit the ground. I soccer ball kicked him in the face. Boom. They come rushing in. Get on the ground, lock it down, lock it down. So when they come in with the gas gun, I don't know that it's a gas gun. So I get on the ground. My homie stand, he say, man, don't you shoot my little homie. He say, get up, homie. He say, man, get up. Man, get up. We ain't got nothing to do with that. I get up, go in my cell and everything. And my cellie wasn't there because he worked in the kitchen. So I'm thinking, man, shit, I'm good. They ain't about to do nothing. Man, they came back and locked my geeking ass right up.
Lock you up and they end up charging you too, don't they?
Yeah. Well, when they come back and lock us up, we don't go to the shoe. Well, we go to the shoe, but we never go in a cell in the shoe. They had us in a holding cage with the cameras in front of us. So it's about 4 or 5 of us. And, one of my homies, man, shout out to the homie Zappo, man, he's still doing that elbow, right? The homie Zappo, he a veteran at this, and he letting us know, he like, yeah, man, they about to whip us up out of here. So I'm like, man, what do that mean? He like, oh, we gone, shorty. He say, wherever we going there, they gonna fuck us up. I say, huh? He like, oh, yeah. He say, they definitely gonna fuck you up. You put an Adidas sign in that man's head. So I'm really scared now. And I'm like, oh, man, I ain't what I do. Like, he was bothering me. Man, I'm scared to death. But the homie just, letting me know that this what it's about to be. So they took us from Big Sandy. They drove us straight down Hazleton. And when we got off that van, man, oh man. I'm
Tell you when
talking
you got
about,
down to Hazleton, did they jump on you guys?
well, they split us up. First of all, they split us up. They got all these guys, it's 40 officers, 10 apiece. It's 4 of us get off the van. It's 10 officers per man. They took us on all different ranges. Like, I didn't see the other guys. After the night we got down there, I didn't see these other guys again for like 60 days. They put us on all different ranges, you know?
I want to go back to Big Sandy, though. I know you were there when Ace got shot and killed too, right?
Yeah, I definitely was there. And I be hearing a lot of these guys that they make comments about what happened with that, right? And I ain't gonna say nobody lying or they just fabricating a little bit. Cause I write. And even I put that in one of my songs called Penitentiary Life. And I was definitely right there where Ace got it, man. Because even the guy that he was hitting, the big tall dude, Stretch, Lurch, whatever his name is, he had just got there because I was coming back from my jail on a writ, and he was in Atlanta with me. So he had just got the Big Sandy. But I was definitely right there when Ace got blazed out that tower.
So I know you said you write rap songs. You wrote something about it. What is it? Maybe the people want to hear it.
It's a song called Penitentiary Life, and it says, it goes like this. It said, he said it's all about balance. So I sat in that thought for a second, like, what you mean about balance? Too much of anything will make the scales lopsided. But when you know the odds, you can bet with sideliners. Moneymaker wish the kid got sidelined. I'm well known in the city, both sides riding. Caught slipping, but I stay sliding. M3, I'm broad daylight. I stay shining. This DTS it got me feeling like I'm hang gliding. And I was hoping that you try so I could hang glide you. Or better yet, make my little homies shoe shine you. Then no sense of watching me. Find a new channel. Or they gonna end up watching you on a news channel. It's called greatness. Niggas like you, I make famous. Thank you for making my acquaintance. No handshakes, just head nods and a fist bump. I don't walk around with these floaters like I don't give a fuck. I walk around with this floater because I ain't getting stuck. So when I come to lay it down, it ain't no getting up. Niggas think they getting saved by them towers till they seen Ace get blazed out the tower. And I was right there, less than 30 feet from the gate, seen his face when he dropped. He ain't never shake.
They killed. Do you remember the nurse trying to push his guts back in? Do you remember that part?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, right? When Ace got hit, and I want you to see this clearly, because his last movements was like this. They gave him one rubber shot, one warning shot, and a live round went in the dirt. But the 4th shot, he was like this, because I'm talking about, he hit Lurch so many times, you can hear Lurch gurgling, like, like you could hear him gargling the blood when he was hitting them with that knife. And they was like right up under the tower. We was on the track side of the yard, on this side, because when it happened, like if you was out there, first they whoop Ace or try to jump him or whatever, and then they start jogging around the track as if they ain't do nothing. Ace didn't go get a knife. He already had that on him. He pulled it out and told Lurch, nah, don't run down, big boy. And chased him down. Lurch ran out of gas. And he was pulling that joint from down Coleman, hitting him out Victorville with that mug. Boom, he was slamming that knife in his ass. And his last breath, when they hit him with that AR, he did just like this. And I'm talking about his whole body bent back like that. All right. And that was his, and I mean that changed my life forever. Seeing that.
You say it changed your life forever. Seeing that, did it shock you?
Hell yeah, it shocked me. Yes, I was shocked.
You know, shit was real then. That man, these people will kill you if they want to.
Man, listen, I'm gonna tell you how I knew shit was real when I got up, Big Sandy. The first thing my homie gave me was some shower shoes and a knife. I ain't know what the fuck that meant. I'm like, all right, hold up. Like, cause I ain't done nothing. The shower shoes mean you gotta slide up out of here. And the knife mean they coming for you. Either you gonna slide or bust this knife. So I'm like, man, what's going on? Cause I ain't, what the fuck? I knew it was real when I got off the bus. Big Sandy went on lockdown 4 times my first 75 days up there. And it was always it was never assault. It's always what we say gunplay. They busting that knife. You better have a knife. And you better know how to push. I ain't talking about just sling it neither. You better know how to push. Because that's a fact. Ain't nobody car rocking like nothing. I don't care what car you in. You could be in the Dirty White Boys, the Independents, the Sacks, the Tongos, the Crips, the Bloods. I'm talking about when it's the Muslims, when it's on, it's on. I seen, and this is not to be funny, right? But I seen the Crips when they got into it with the Muslims. The Muslims was trying to extort them or whatever. California dude, but he was being protected by the Crips. I seen a Muslim with a licky out this big. Talking about his beard, this big. When the Crip dude slammed that flat shit in him, know what he said? Oh, Jesus.
That's crazy. Do you think, I mean, the stuff with Ace, was that one of the wildest things you've seen?
Nah, that wasn't one of the wild. I mean, I can't say that was one of the wildest. One of the wildest things I seen happen in the SMOO program. You know what I mean?
Tell us about it.
Well, in the SMOO program, right? They you know, a lot of officers up there, they do things for jollies, for kicks, you know. And this was around the time, you know, that Penn State, that Sandusky you know, controversy was going on, right? And I believe it was his great grandson or somebody, but one of them worked up there. You know, Sandusky, one of his grandsons or whatever. So it was a guy, and he was what we say, he was on ass. And you know, he used to
DC
always,
dude?
Nah, he actually wasn't from DC. And he used to be blood, this particular person I'm talking about, right? And he always used to be fucking with Sandusky, saying shit out the door to him. I know what you did, Sandusky. I know what you're looking for, Sandusky. You're trying to see this dick, Sandusky, da-da-da. Man, them police went in there, and I'm talking about, when I say they let some guys in there, and man, you know, he changed his life. You know, you good. And I'm talking about they was in there fucking straight up. You know?
Did he stop harassing Sandusky?
Oh man, he changed his religion. He changed his religion. Believe that.
It's a wild life, man. What's the streets of DC like now, man?
Man, it's wicked up here, man. These youngers gotta learn to think, you know? These youngers, they don't have no value for life right now up here. And you know, with all this COVID and money shortages and things of that nature, it's a real non-value for life in the streets up here. And it's so much clicking up. Like, you got dudes from uptown that's hanging over Southeast now. You got Southeast dudes that's hanging over Northeast now. Northeast dudes that's hanging out Maryland now. You know, it's just so much different click up stuff, that all these rival beefs and things of that nature, it comes with the territory. But I just say, man, if you know how to be a certified sucker ducker, man, and maneuver, man, you can get through these things, man. You definitely can.
Let me clarify something for people because I got some more comments on a video that I did. I said the top 5 most dangerous gangs, and everybody's like, "Man, what about the DC dudes?" And I said, "Look, man, the DC dudes are really, man, they're not a gang, right? They're a car, but they're not just running around doing vicious shit to people, man. That was shit in the '80s, man. DC dudes handle their business. If something happens, there's a bunch of DC dudes in there, more than most people, right? More than most groups." But DC dudes ain't like, yo, man, you know what, man, we're going to go over and kill Slim today. They don't just do shit like that. Like other gangs will be like, yo, man, dude lost a kite, so we're going to kill him. Like the Serenos might say, yo, dude's in the hat, man. He lost a kite from the big homie, go stab him. DC dudes ain't just stabbing people, man, viciously for no reason, right?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, right? DC ain't got no shot caller. You can't tell me to go, what the fuck I look like going stab somebody? You go stab him. Nigga, he ain't do nothing to me. He lost your kite. You the big hat, right? And you probably ain't even from around my way. So how the fuck you gonna tell me to go do something? I ain't doing shit. You go do it. But they say that, right? Because number one, in the federal system, right, we don't have no law in this closed. We don't have a state prison. So, and this is not a slight to nobody, right? But because our numbers are so high in certain places, right? You got DC dudes that they would have been fucking down low. But they on them federal compounds acting like they somebody because they 600 deep. Now, you got guys that they definitely are men. You understand? But the ones that are, they're not trying to walk around and convince you that they a man. You can see it in their attitude. You can see it in their aura. I don't have to walk around with my chest poked out. Or when it's 30 of us, I'm this big guy, but when it's only 3 of us, I don't know. Nah. Because if you the same person every day, you always the same. You know, when you don't project an image, you don't have to protect the image. You know, and a lot of guys, this facade. You know? And that's just not from, dudes from my city. That's from a lot of these cities. Like, I came home from Beaumont, and we had to get on the Texas dude's ass down there because they talking about it's a Texas Crip car. Nah, you blood or you Crip. Like, ain't no such thing as a Texas Crip car. Well, all right, well, guess what? Y'all getting the fuck up out of here.
You were in Texas, and you're sending the Texas dudes up top. You guys are punishing them.
Man, Bloody, because Bloods and Crips, we kind of have an alliance, right? Suwon moving and grooving. And at the end of the day, if it ain't rough, it ain't right. You know how they always say, man, slime and all this, wipe your nose and all that. You will never see a real right wipe their nose. You wanted to drip out so we could trip out. Straight up.
So let me ask you this, man. What's going to stop you from going back to prison, man? Did you learn any lessons in there where you're like, damn, I don't never want to go back?
Man, listen, I came home October 27th, 2017. Right? The only hiccup I had since I've been out here was I was at work and it was my lunch break. And I was in a car with a couple of my coworkers. They all Migos, and we ducking off trying to go, get a few Modelos. And it's lunchtime. I saw one of my hot ass co-defendants, and I don't know what he thought. He was in a car with a female. He jumped out of the car and ran. I'm like, man, ain't nobody about to do nothing to you. But whatever he thought, I ain't sure. But I'm saying, man, it is what it is, right? But that's the only hiccup I had. I got a violation for that. I was only in for like 10 days. But what keeps me out here, number one, is being positive. That's number one. That's what keeps me out here. You hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
That's what keeps me out here, being positive and being productive. That's number one. And number two, is making sure that before anything, you know, my fam is there, you know, because I learned something about, you know, dealing with the penitentiary, right? When you got loved ones that really love you and having the same DNA running through your body, that only make us related. You know, loyalty is what makes us family. So we got people that loyal to and they loyal to you. They not worried about what you bring to the table. They just want you at the table. Because long as you at the table, you know, they can create something.
Let me ask you this, man, before we get ready to close, right? There's some young kid from DC right now, right? He's watching this video, man. You've been through it, man. You've been through it where you've gotten busy in prison. You jumped on the police. You caught a new charge in there. You know, you got swept up in this big gang indictment out of Virginia. What message would you give to that young kid right now, man? He's 16. He's a youngster. He's watching the video, man. What message do you got for him?
I tell the youngsters, man, you know, have some patience. Have some patience, man. You know, it's 2022. You got to learn to be the best of you. You know, be the best of you for 2022. Have some patience. You know, sometimes we have to show these youngsters by example. And me telling my younger self or even the younger guys, just have some patience. Because as long as you continue to strive, positivity, productivity, every day, wake up with something productive. I don't care if you just coming outside, man, and say today, man, I'm going to get up and do 1,500 jumping jacks. Regardless of whatever else go on for that day, you say, man, that's something that I accomplished. But it's just patience. That's all. Just have some patience.
Well, look, Nino, man, I appreciate you coming on, man, sharing your story, sharing your experiences. You've been to some places people don't want to be, man. I've been to some places people really don't want to be. Sometimes they think they do, but at the end of the day, that's not really what they want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, and, you know, that's the truth. I definitely appreciate what you're doing for these young guys. And I definitely appreciate what you're doing for some of us older guys also. Because that blood on the razor wire, man, that's a real thing. I'll be listening to you when you reading your book, talking about Steve and Pike and, you know, those guys, right? I say, man, I don't want to sound funny, but I be like, them junkie motherfuckers.
You know Steve was a junkie, but look, man, I'm going to tell people, man, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share the video, make sure you leave a comment. With respect, Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Until tomorrow, we're out.